right. We're live, bitches. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I gotta turn this I have to turn this audio off. Because it was like I was listening to it on Twitch so I could anyway. I was like, yeah, you're muted. I
I
should
think
make
me,
you
yeah.
your own audio source, but whatever.
I'm not. You don't. Huh? Okay. That's weird.
No,
All right, cool.
I have your own audio source now.
Yeah.
Hi, Kagome.
Kagome,
Alternate. So,
Calvino.
oh, actually, Unreal Lifts. I actually, for a second, I really did. When I was like, I was writing out the title. I was like, I really want to say, I'm sorry, Daddy,
Right.
acting bad, but I figured.
Uh huh.
I figured that would bring a different type of crowd. They would be expecting something totally different. So, at least I want to
You
break
can
them in a little
you
bit.
can take the same title and apply it just to your
I know.
other podcast.
Straight to hell. No. If
Do some
no, you know what?
crossover.
You know what?
Crossover.
At this point on waking up, if it like we have a nice, we have chartered our own bus. It's our own bus.
Mm-hmm.
So all you need to do is sign up, and we'll all go as a group. We have a group rate now.
Group rate. Yeah. Is there a Groupon for this?
No, just a group rate. No group
Okay.
on because that's the other podcast. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep.
um Hello everyone, welcome to Waking Up with Nana and Pep. Well, it's not Nana and Pep anymore, it's just Waking Up because we that's what we watch it.
Yeah. Just waking
Welcome
up.
to Waking Up. I just woke up because my phone died, and you know what, the life lesson. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Were you doom scrolling the tickety talks?
was it doom scrolling to
That's what my phone dies because I doom scroll the tickety talks while I fall asleep, and then the same TikTok plays until my phone dies.
no,
That's how mine happens.
I don't think it was. I think it was just it was close to dying.
Okay.
And you're still going to keep the same group no matter the title. I mean, fair. Group on, group rate, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I am Aroogs. I am one of your co-hosts, and with me is one of my best friends in the entire world. Occasionally, the guy I
Aw.
want to put 6 feet under, and it would be Pep, or AKA Sean.
It's a
Yay!
roller coaster. It happens.
It's
Yeah.
fine. Fine.
Hmm.
You know what? The Lord sends us people to test our patience, and you know what? Sean gets to be mine.
You asked the Lord for more patience, and God sent you me.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's what happened. Yeah. Oh, Paragon, that's fantastic. Forgive me for I have sinned. It's been 5 streams since my last confession.
Oh yeah, let's get it. Well, we'll get into confessions and asking for forget that.
Yeah.
Like we're gonna get
Mm-hmm.
into all of
Hail
that. Like
Marys.
Hail Mary, full of grace, Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou
Mm-hmm.
among virgins. I'm not even Catholic. That's actually anyway.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Let me do our
Getting
disclaimer.
ahead of ourselves.
Yes. Here on Waking Up, here on Waking Up, we are not here to bash anybody's religious faith or belief system. We think faith and religion are beautiful things when done in a mentally and emotionally healthy manner. We are not healthcare professionals. We are two very traumatized people who are deconstructing our religious beliefs and our mental and emotional belief systems and reconstructing them into healthy systems, healthy people. We are not therapists, we are not counselors. Anything said on here is completely editorial and opinion only, and our own personal experiences. If you do need professional help, we do have resources that can help you get in touch with people that are professionals and then can get you the help that you need. So you can just contact us at Nerd Mom Ace on all the socials. We're there. You can message us and we can help you get you the help that you need.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to waking up, they're not only the presence. Yeah,
We
pretty
are.
much. Yeah, pretty much.
It works. Something like that.
Sean and I, our backgrounds are we grew up in the North Carolina in the Southern Baptist Church, Billy Graham territory. And then for those
Oh
of you who
yeah.
don't know, so the Southern Baptist Church is a strictly evangelical Protestant denomination of the
Fun
Christian faith.
fundamentalist sometimes.
Sometimes depending on
Depending on the
what
church.
church you go to,
Hmm. Hmm.
and so we grew up that way, and so yeah, we got a lot.
Yeah,
We have a lot.
we do. And our experience may not be everyone else's experience. This is the experience we had when we grew up. So we definitely understand that other people may not have experienced this, or they
And
may have experienced worse.
yes, and Sean and I are both getting professional help. We are both in therapy. I'm in therapy 3 times a week, so
You getting an extra
I,
dose,
I
an extra helping of it.
I get it 3 times a week, so it's fine. But yes, we are
Hmm.
both in therapy, and we both go which are every week. So this is not
Hmm.
something
Yep.
that this is something that we are constantly working on in present tense. Um,
Yes.
so yeah,
Hmm.
that is our disclaimer. So
All
what are
right.
we talking about? I mean, our title pretty
Oh,
much says it all, right?
it does. You asked yeah, you tell me to. My job is to tell everybody what we're talking about, but it does happen to be on the screen. So in case
They do
anyone
not
is
put the fun
lurking,
in fundamentalists.
no,
They
there
do
is no
not.
fun. Because if it's fun, you got to stop.
If it's
And
fun,
if
it's a
it's
sin.
fun, what?
If it's
What'd you
fun,
say?
it's a sin.
It's yeah. If it's fun, it's a sin. And if it's a sin, what do you got to do? You got to get some forgiveness. So my intro,
Yes.
the mental, yeah,
Yes, Paragon.
that's it.
That
That's
is
it.
exactly it. They put the
Um,
mentalist.
so when I was a baby, I think my first word was probably no, and my first phrase was probably I'm sorry, because that's what my life has been like, a series of when I was in the church, apologies and asking for forgiveness.
Mhm.
So I learned, you learn early on in the church, as a kid, as a young kid, you learn how to ask for forgiveness from God really early.
My face
That
just
was when I was a
contorted.
kid. That was when I was
My
little.
face just
I
contorted. And like Paragon, you say, "You say no, Sean? Really?" Like I could even
that was
hear
before
the
it was beat out
inflection
of
in it.
me.
I
Yeah.
mean, I mean. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah.
We're talking about forgiveness.
Yeah, so that's one thing that you learn early on, and when you grow up in an evangelical fundamentalist church, is how to ask for forgiveness, how to pray and ask God not to smite you, not to to make you feel better, to be okay, because you are a bad person. And yes, we're gonna constantly gray that
Oh
line.
yeah, I was been such a bad girl.
Yeah, yeah,
Forgive
you have.
me.
Mm,
Good morning.
yes, my child.
Everybody
Good
wake up
morning.
now. Everybody awake now.
Yeah,
Good
you
morning.
awake? You up now? You up yet? Um, yeah, we're gonna cross that line a bunch of times today.
No, we're just gonna stay over it. It's fine. We're just
We're,
we're gonna
we're gonna play hopscotch with it. Uh,
a smiting rod.
I mean,
Oh my
uh
god, I
huh.
love you, Paragon.
Smite, yes. Sky Daddy
Forgive
has.
me, Sky Daddy. I've been bad. Oh, sorry. It's forgive me, Father, for I've sinned to my bed.
That's not how you say
Damn it.
it.
I'm waking up now.
Oh,
Well, I
yeah,
think
yeah, you are.
forgiveness is one of those things that and Paragon has reached a 5 stream streak. Yay!
Woohoo!
I think forgiveness is one of those things that it's one of that it seems like very it is very it's a very fundamental to the Christian faith, but it's one of those things that you are taught how to do in an unhealthy way, that you're taught about in an unhealthy way, and given this
Yes.
point of view about forgiveness, and that forgiveness has to look this way, and it's all or nothing. Like the Lord
Mhm.
forgave you for your sins. Perfect. Like that's great. That sounds good on paper.
Yeah.
But the Lord forgave you for all you have to do is ask for forgiveness for your sins, but then you keep sinning and you can keep asking it.
Hmm.
And okay, the Lord, and it's almost like the Lord, like you're taught, like the Lord is forgiving you, that like your only salvation is asking for forgiveness.
Hmm.
But you're over here thinking, but you're a dirty sinner. You're always
Yes.
dirty. Like you have to
Yes.
have forgiveness. You are a bad person
Yes.
until somebody deems you worthy enough to forgive you. So you're
Yes.
always bad. So you're not
Hmm.
saved. You're not saved and going to heaven and getting the reward unless you ask the Lord for forgiveness and do what he says. And every time you fuck up, you have to grovel and ask for,
Yes.
and
There it is.
it's like
Yeah,
that's
the way
not
in
how
which we
forgiveness
the way
works.
that we learn to ask for forgiveness from through the church is a very unhealthy way to do it. Um,
Paragon.
and I yeah, go ahead.
So Paragon actually asked this question, which I think is going along with what you were saying, is
Mhm.
why is it we find it so easy to ask a higher power for forgiveness no matter what, if we deserve it or not, but not
Mhm.
our neighbors?
I think part of it is, we're raised the first person we ask forgiveness for is a higher power. God is the first one we're asking forgiveness for. We're taught heavily about how to about asking for forgiveness for God from God. We're not really taught how to do that with people, though. We're told that we're supposed to, but we don't really get a good I don't think we really get a good model of that. Um, we get the way we're supposed to ask forgiveness for God is how we end up asking for forgiveness for other people. It includes groveling. It includes becoming obsequious. You know, putting ourselves down, low, groveling, prostrate. Yeah, that's the word. And just begging for forgiveness from this almighty power. I think the other reason it's harder is because when you're asking for forgiveness, it's kind of this conceptual thing. It's like, I mean, you're not actually standing in front of God. You're not seeing God's face. You're not really even getting a response from God. You're asking for forgiveness is very one-sided. It's a lot of groveling and feeling bad about yourself and suffering for it. And there's not really anything in return. Whereas with people, you see the response. You get a response, whether it's the one you wanted or not. It's more real when you have to ask other people for forgiveness than when you're asking God for forgiveness.
Yes, because asking God for forgiveness is like it, it's hypothetical almost. Like you only it only that forgiveness you're asking for forgiveness from this supreme being that you don't like
Hmm.
in reality you don't know really exists. When you're asking for forgiveness from a real person, you're having to look them in the face and you're having to say,
Yes.
I fucked up. I'm
Hmm.
sorry. And I think that that's why okay, I'm going to go on. This is a strictly opinion, okay? Don't at me.
Uh-huh.
This is my opinion. But I think that that's why Christians are really good at the non-apology. They're really good at not taking
Yes.
accountability to another person because you're taught to
Uh-huh.
pray, just forgive me, Father, I've sinned. And not get really specific, just like I've sinned and
Because you
I
don't
am
have to.
sorry. Right, because there's no one to face. There's no accountability really. Like yeah, you ask for
Yeah.
forgiveness. You ask for forgiveness and everything should be good and you just don't do it again, right?
What's really the goal of asking God for forgiveness? It's to make yourself feel better.
Ooh, I didn't even think about that.
That just hit me. I was like, that's the purpose. You want to make yourself feel better. So you're pretty much just saying the words to the higher power so that you feel better about what you did. When you ask other people for forgiveness, it's a whole different situation because if you approach other people with I'm asking for forgiveness so that I can feel better, that's not going to work.
And that's not
That's
how
not
you should
healthy.
ask forgiveness.
and people can see that and identify that, and they are not going to respond in the same way. They're
Really?
going to respond, which is different than God. There you go.
Really? Really? Yeah.
Yeah, they're
And
good. Yeah, exactly.
and
So,
learning how to accept real apologies. Um,
ooh,
yeah,
ooh,
learning
I struggle with
how
that.
to accept real apologies and identifying what a
Hmm.
real apology is versus what a fake, like just a one that's just
What
like, you know, I'm just I'm
what's the
s-
difference?
okay, so a non-apology is it's not a fake apology because they're apologizing technically. So a non-apology
Hmm.
is a very blanket statement. Um,
Okay.
I'm sorry I did that. I'm sorry, very general. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I made you mad. Or I'm sorry I'm a bad person. Like very, very blanket. Or I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Can we just
Hmm.
get over this? But
Ooh,
never like I'm sorry. I feel bad. I'm sorry I feel bad. Can we just move on? That's not
I
taking
said
a
I'm sorry.
yeah, it's not taking accountability. There's no real accountability. There's no real when you say I'm sorry. Asking for his wife.
Yeah. Ooh, Jay, that's a very good point.
Ernie knows what you did. Oh yeah, yeah.
You learn not to be specific because, well, God already knows. You don't have to. You don't have to say it.
Which is what a real apology is, which is the non-apology. The non-apology is very
Mhm,
much, well, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I was bad. I'm sorry I was bad. I
mhm.
won't do it again. Can we just move on from this? That's not an apology. That's not taking accountability. I'm sorry I was bad could encompass like a whole bunch of shit. Like when you are actually repentant, and I hate using that word because but that's the actual word. When you are actually
Mhm.
repentant and you want to apologize and you're actually sorry for something, you need to like take accountability and be very specific for what you are apologizing for. Like I know for me,
Mhm.
I don't accept the whole, well, I'm sorry I upset you. Okay. Oh, okay. I get that you don't like that you upset me, but what are you sorry
Mhm.
for? Like, what action
Yeah.
are you sorry for that you're asking for me to forgive you for? Because if you can't identify that, then that's just like you don't know what behavior not to repeat.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Like,
If
I am
the
like,
lack of specificity.
right. And that, because that
Mhm.
means no accountability. I'm not taking
Yeah.
accountability. I'm just sort of just like, or you don't know what you're sorry for and you're just apologizing to apologize. For those of us who are over apologizers, usually people of the Christian faith, usually those who are raised Christian, or usually those who are people pleasers and are ready to just, apologize for just breathing air.
Exist. Yeah. Just living. Uh huh.
Hello, I'm a Roogs and I am a chronic apologizer. Like
How long has it been since your last apology?
oh good. Okay, yeah. So I'm a chronic apologizer.
Moving on.
I'm not gonna say that. I just say I'm sorry just to for various reasons. I am sorry for
Mhm.
existing. I am sorry for being. You even start apologizing for the good things that you are because your trauma and the abuse that you've been through has made you feel like you have to be sorry and have to ask for forgiveness for just existing, for
Yeah.
just breathing. Everything that you are and everything about yourself and everything that you do is wrong. And
Mhm.
so you have to
Yes.
apologize for just existing. And it is a very
Mhm.
terrible place. And the Christian faith, honestly, reinforces that a lot.
Yeah. Absolutely does. Yep. Absolutely. Um. So the lack of specificity is a big one. If they can't, if the other person, if you can't name it, if the other person, whatever, however, whichever direction it goes, if the apology doesn't include specificity, it's it's a hollow. It's almost like I would call a hollow apology. Um, and so it's nothing changes. So the other, I like the other part you said that it's so then what? What's next? So you're sorry. Uh, okay. What does that mean? What does that look like? Um, I am guilty of apologizing in, in the past, apologizing to just get it over with. And
Oh.
that's where the hollow apology comes in, is you're like, "Okay, she's mad or he's mad, the other person is mad. I don't wanna I don't I feel bad because 'cause they're not happy." That's where, like, the codependence and the people pleasing come in. So I wanna make this better. I want the other person to stop feeling the way they're feeling and for me to feel bad about it, so I'm just gonna start apologizing. Even though I may not have felt I did anything wrong, I'm just gonna apologize because that's how we move this conversation forward, is to
Apologizing
apologize.
for shit that you didn't do, or apologizing
Yes.
for shit that you shouldn't apologize for because the other person expects you to
Yeah.
apologize for it.
Sometimes it's because you're not sometimes you're doing that because that's what you've learned to do. That's how you grew up doing that and people accepted it. So you just kept doing it. But the other side of that is it's also a trauma response
Absolutely.
because you didn't feel you did anything wrong. You were just existing. You had feelings and that apparently was wrong in the relationship. The other person didn't like that you had a feeling and that you expressed it. So you then begin apologizing. I would then begin apologizing for just because I didn't feel like I did anything wrong, but because I knew, because the dynamic of the relationship, that was the only way to move the conversation forward.
Because they wouldn't stop. They wouldn't stop
Yes.
unless they wouldn't listen to you unless you admitted or confessed to doing something wrong.
Yeah.
Instead of them
There had
taking
yeah.
accountability for their own feelings. Like, hey,
Yes.
I was hurt or made mad by what you did,
Mhm.
and maybe you didn't intend to do that. But it's one of
Yeah.
those, forgiveness has become like learning how to apologize and learning what real healthy non-Christian forgiveness is like has actually been something
Uh-huh.
that I have worked on. Like the apologizing part was the hardest one for me to break. It was a habit. It was literally become part of my, oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I talked too much. I'm sorry I'm
Mhm.
sorry I stepped on your toe. I'm sorry if I made you mad. Like literally chronic apologizer. I would apologize just for breathing and existing. And I still feel that way. I apologized to my therapist a few weeks ago for I apologized to her because I felt like I was taking up her time complaining. Like it doesn't go away. And it is something that I am constantly working on. But it's also, not only am I working on what a true apology is and things that I should actually apologize for, but I'm also working on identifying what, because of my, people in my life and my abusers and manipulators. It's one of those, I learned to accept the non apologies because, oh,
Mhm.
well, I apologize. So you should just not be mad anymore. And so, learning to not accept the non apology, learning how
Mhm.
to identify what a non apology is, absolutely not accepting that and going, no, tell me what exactly you are sorry for. And if they can't name it, they can't name it. You can't force somebody to just go, okay, but you don't have to accept it either. You don't, like, until you figure out what you're actually apologizing for. I don't want to hear it. Like, I don't want to hear you, like, say, you're not going to sit
You
here
don't
and
want
I'm just going to forgive you just because you said the words I'm sorry. I need you to know that
Mhm.
you're not going to repeat that behavior. I need to know that you're not going to repeat that behavior. And if you can't take
Yeah.
accountability of that, there's no way. I mean, they might repeat the behavior even if they do specify what they're doing. But at least
Mhm.
now they know. It's not something that it's just
Yeah.
like, well, I didn't know. Well, we had this fight over and over and over again. We're repeating the cycle.
Yeah.
That's something else that I'm working on. And then I'm also working on what forgiveness actually is. And forgiveness looks different to everyone. The healthy forgiveness looks different to everyone. And I want to make that very clear because I don't know about you, Sean, but from my perspective, Christianity forgiveness looks the same to everyone. It is,
Yes.
you forgive them and you act like nothing happened and everything should go back as normal. Like it's a you forgiveness
Yes.
and it's a reset. And you don't acknowledge
Yes.
the pain that they
The
cause you,
hurt.
the
Hmm.
hurt. You don't acknowledge the damage, the trauma, and the expectation of everyone in the Christian faith is, I've asked for forgiveness, we should just move on and act like it never happened. But it did happen,
Hmm.
and I am
Because God
suffering
moves
from it.
on, so why can't we move on?
Right. And real forgiveness is, you can forgive someone, one, and not have to act like nothing's changed. You can forgive them and not ever want that person back in your life.
Yep.
What I'm learning, and I learned the hard way through my mom, the situation with my mom, is she did some really bad things for most of my life, but she did some really bad things that caused us to me finally go no contact. And
Hmm.
for the longest time, I was angry. I was angry about the stuff that happened. I was angry about all the trauma that I was carrying around. But I was also incredibly angry because I wasn't getting, even after telling her, because I would tell her, wrote her before I went complete no
Hmm.
contact. I wrote her an email about why I was doing this. And she came back with all the reasons why I shouldn't feel this way. And she came back all the reasons about, like, but never an apology, never an acknowledgement of what I felt. Never, there was not, and I came to the realization I was never going to get that apology.
Hmm.
I was never going to get that apology. I was never going to get that accountability from her, because and you know what, she's allowed to do that. That's her mental health journey, and that's her journey, that's her emotional journey, and
Hmm.
she can do whatever she wants. And even if she gets the help, I don't even know if, like, I'm going to get to the point where I want her back in my life.
Yeah.
But I was angry because I wasn't getting the apology I needed, or I thought I needed. I was
Hmm.
angry because I wasn't getting the apology from her that I felt I needed to heal,
You deserved.
and that I deserved. And that I
Hmm.
do deserve. I'm going to be 100% honest. I do deserve
Sure.
that apology. But
Hmm.
that doesn't mean that even if she does apologize, that I'm just going to go, okay, we're happy now, we're good. No, that's not how
We're
that.
good. Mm-mm.
I had to come to terms, and that was the first thing that I did that I did that actually moved me forward in my healing, is I came to terms with the fact I'm never going to get that apology. And I still forgive her. I forgive her. Hello, radical acceptance. Here we go. Here we go.
Ooh,
I didn't
yeah,
even
look at
realize it
that.
was radical acceptance until, like, I did it, but I did it. I forgive her. I forgive her for what she did. I forgive her for the trauma that was caused. I forgive her. I love her and I forgive her. But I'm not going to sit here and act like nothing happened.
Hmm.
I forgive her because I need to forgive her for myself. I don't want to hold on to that anger. I don't want to hold on to that bitterness. I forgive her, but I don't absolve her. And that doesn't mean, and that's the difference between the Christian forgiveness and a real healthy forgiveness, is forgiveness has to be something that you do for you.
Ooh.
And that's not selfish. If you don't want to forgive somebody, that's your choice. Just because somebody apologizes doesn't mean that you have to forgive them. And that's the thing that they also teach
Hmm.
you in Christianity. If you ask for forgiveness, you have to forgive
You
them,
have
and
to
you
be.
have to move on, and everything's an absolute.
Yep. Yep.
But DBT, radical acceptance, says I can still forgive you and not absolve you of what you've done. And that
I
doesn't
can.
make me a
I
bad person.
Yeah. I can still forgive you and be allowed to feel hurt by the thing that you did and not be okay with it. And I think we learned forced we learned both forced repentance and forced forgiveness. Both of them were forced. We were forced to you got to pray, you got to ask forgiveness. We were asking for forgiveness every single day practically. I was. But also, like you said, the forced forgiveness. Somebody did something, and if they apologize for it, which, by the way, they were probably forced to apologize for it, you were then forced to accept it, or you were chastised or made to feel bad because you didn't accept it. Because if you're not willing to forgive them, that's not godlike. God forgives. God forgave you, so you should forgive your debtors. It's in the prayer that we're taught how to pray. God forgave us, therefore we have to forgive. Now, there's no explanation as to how, as to why, as to the what makes a healthy forgiveness and repentance. But so we were just taught that you had to forgive. Forgive and forget. And so you did that, and you, of course, what we learned in the church carries over into our personal life. So we continued that. We accepted those hollow apologies, or we gave the hollow apologies. I know I've given many of them throughout my life.
And that taught us how to ignore people's red flags and bad behaviors, and that taught us how to gaslight ourselves
Uh-huh.
over other people's bad behaviors. Well,
Mhm.
they said that they were sorry. So I know that they're still repeating the behavior, and nothing has changed, but they said they were sorry.
Yeah.
So I know that they were sorry about it. Doesn't
Were
if
were they
they
sorry because they did it? Or were they sorry because they got caught? Or were they sorry that or were they just sorry because it upset you?
Oh
Because you
my
expressed an emotion about it.
Okay, I am guilty of this one. And I know I
Yeah.
am guilty of this one, doing it and accepting it. It's the I'm
Mhm.
sorry because they are only apologizing because they got caught. They're only sorry because you're not really sorry about what you did. You're
Yes.
only sorry because you got motherfucking caught.
Yeah.
And because and to know that difference, to know what that is,
Mhm.
first off, is a punch in the gut. It's like, then, or I'm sorry because what I did upset them, or it upset me, and they're only sorry about it because I had a negative reaction to it, or they had a negative reaction to it. But you're not really sorry. And in that, having to learn how to identify what you are sorry for versus what you're not sorry for. And I have learned
Mhm.
how to say, I am not sorry for doing this. I am not sorry that I did this. I am not sorry. I do not regret it. I am not sorry for it. However, I am sorry that my actions have caused you distress, or my actions ended
Mhm.
up hurting you. That is what I am sorry for. I am sorry for the hurt that I have caused you, my actions and my behaviors that caused you this hurt, but I'm not sorry that I did it. And that's being as honest as you can be in an apology. Because that's telling the
That's
other
very
person,
Mhm.
this is telling the other person, I'm not sorry I did this. I am not sorry I made this choice. I regret that this choice hurt you. Now, if you like cheat on somebody or do something very dishonest or whatever, yeah, I mean,
Mhm.
obviously, that if you're not sorry about cheating, then that's a total another level of
Yeah.
problems that you got going on. Then that's not that no apology is gonna like really
Yeah.
fix. Um, but it's identifying that what you're not sorry for, and what that's the other thing, what people expect you to apologize for. Like, you upset me, so you need to apologize for this.
Okay.
I don't
Yeah.
like the fact that you did that. I don't like the fact that you whatever. I don't like that fact you hurt me, or like not even hurt me. You just made me upset. You just did something I
Yeah.
didn't like. And they expect you to apologize. I'm not going to apologize because you got upset. That's on you, buddy. I'm not going to apologize so that
Yeah.
you can fucking feel better about yourself. That seems like a you work that you need to do. You need to do your emotional work here.
Mhm.
I'm not going to apologize for that.
They're allowed to feel their feelings, but so are you. Yeah, okay, so they feel upset. You're not invalidating that they're upset. They're allowed to be upset.
Mhm.
But that doesn't mean you have to apologize for what you did if you feel what you did was right.
For you.
For you. That is that's goals for me. That's that's not where I'm at. That nuance, because that is a very nuanced situation. That is that yeah. Um I'm not there yet.
There's been
So
times where you've apologized to me and I'm like, "Are you really sorry?
you have,
Are
yeah.
you really sorry for what you did or are you sorry that you just upset me?"
Yeah.
And you're like,
Yeah.
"Well, no, I'm not
And
really."
for me to separate that out for myself, that's tough. That is really difficult for me because my tendency, my nervous system's reaction is to just to apologize. Um, even if at the same time I'm going, I didn't do anything wrong. My reaction, my learned condition reaction is to just apologize.
Mhm.
So to get to that point, that's a something that I'm working towards is to be able to go, I'm not sorry that I did this. I understand it upsets you. I'm not invalidating your feelings, but I'm not sorry that I did it.
Mhm.
I made this choice.
I think being a Christian and I'm not saying because Catholic faith has some weird things too, like because
Oh
C
yeah.
Roops is Catholic, so I got to learn a lot about
All
like
yeah.
and that's a totally
Yeah.
different beast. And to be honest, I don't know a lot about like Judaism and Islam about how
Mhm.
their forgiveness system works. So I'm only going off a Christian identity,
Protestant. Yeah.
but that's honestly one of the things that I consistently work on constantly is what a real apology looks like, how I need to deal with forgiveness, how I need to deal with apologizing, and what that looks like after I do it, after the apology has been made. Because in reality, it's been very black and white. You ask for forgiveness, the person forgives you, you are in your head. This is the Christian progression. You do the
Mhm.
bad thing, you ask for forgiveness, you get forgiven, so you get absolved of everything that you've done. Just pretty much
Mhm.
just ask for forgiveness from God so that you can feel better about what you've done. You've absolved yourself in your head.
Mhm.
You because we all know how like is Sky Daddy there or not? Is Sky Daddy actually forgiving you? You absolve yourself in your head because you've asked God for forgiveness and then you move on.
Yep.
That's the Christian mindset. But like you said, non Christianity, real forgiveness, actual forgiveness and apologizing is so much more detailed and nuanced than that. You do the
You mean
bad.
it's not easy in black and white?
It's
What?
not. I
Life is not black
know.
and white?
I
My
know. I know. I'm
god.
sorry. I am letting you know that we are graduating from the Fisher Price apologies and now we are going into
I like that, the Fisher
we're
Price
not doing the
apology.
Fisher Price
Yes.
apologies anymore. um it's one of those, you do the bad thing and then you have
Uh-huh.
to stop and take stock of, okay, what is this whole situation? What are you actually like? What are you accountable for? What is the other
Mhm.
person accountable for? Like, let's look
Mhm.
at this objectively. Then you sit down and have to go, okay, here is exactly what I'm sorry for. And maybe sometimes you don't even know really, but you're like, okay, what did I do? Maybe
Mhm.
sometimes you have to ask what you are sorry for. What did I do that upset you? Because maybe I don't
Yeah.
feel like I did anything wrong. I know obviously you're upset or mad or sad or
Yeah.
whatever. I did something wrong,
Yeah.
but I maybe there's something, you have that discussion and then you take accountability. That's what's the apology for. You take accountability for what you did. Okay, I'm sorry I did XYZ. I am sorry that
Mhm.
I did this. Now remember, apologizing for how somebody else feels is not a motherfucking apology. I am sorry
I'm
you are
sorry you
upset.
feel bad.
I am sorry you're mad. I am sorry
Uh-huh.
you're sad. That is not a motherfucking apology because you cannot apologize for how somebody else feels. What the proper way to do that is, I am sorry what I did made you feel upset. I am
Mm-hmm.
sorry for my actions causing a reaction in you. You cannot apologize that somebody else is hurt. I'm sorry you're
Mm-hmm.
hurt. I am sorry that what I did hurt you.
Mm-hmm.
That's the difference. You cannot apologize to somebody else for how they feel. Oh my God, if I had $1 for every time somebody said, I'm sorry you're mad. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
me too. And let's see where we're going to go
Uh-huh.
with that one.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm sorry that you're upset by that. Me too. Me too.
Uh-huh.
And I'm about to
Yeah,
be even
yeah.
more upset about it. Okay, cool.
Right. Mhm. This one just popped in my, how do you feel about the, well, if you don't know, I'm not gonna tell you?
That's okay. You're gonna have to talk about that one.
Okay. So this happens sometimes. And especially in like romantic relationships, significant other relationships. The other person expects you to know what you did wrong. And sometimes you don't know. Like you just said, sometimes you don't know. You guys may be in a group, you're talking, maybe you're joking around. You may have said something to the other person that you didn't realize what you said upset them. You didn't realize at the time that's what happened. So they're upset with you. You realize later they're upset with you, but you don't know what you said that upset them. Well, if you don't know, we're not mind readers. I can't read your mind and know exactly what. No, not a mind reader. Don't expect your significant other to be a mind reader in any way, shape, or form, in any point in the relationship. They're not mind readers.
Oh boy, not that you mean I have to be sorry for something I did not know I did. Apology. Yeah,
Yeah,
that one.
yeah. If somebody said something that upset you, did something that upset you, that bothered you, made you feel a certain way, mm, you got it. You tell them, because if you don't tell them and they don't know, guess what? It's going to happen again because they don't know. What do you expect to happen?
And if you're with somebody,
Hmm.
Sean, why do you gotta hit me with the scab? I'm sorry, there's something at the point since last time we had this conversation. Okay, here
Hmm.
is why that really triggers me. And I'm not triggered to the point of like, oh, you gotta shut down or whatever. It triggers me because
Yeah.
it is something very real. Because
Hmm.
it's that somebody getting angry with you and them not communicating why they are angry or sad with you that then
Yeah.
causes trauma. And here's where my
Yes.
trauma comes in with that statement because my parents did it. You know what you did. You know what you did. When you have no clue what you did.
Yes.
And for a child, they don't know what they did to make you upset. And I mean
Yeah.
child as in to the age of like 18 or 20 because let's be real honest, you're still learning how to be a functioning human being.
We're still learning
We're still fucking
in some
learning.
ways.
Or fuck, yeah, I'm 40 and I'm
We're.
still fucking learning. But whatever, like
Hmm.
you don't know, but they tell you that you know.
Hmm.
And that's where the trauma for me comes in because then I internalize that and then I
Hmm.
am being forced as a child and has carried over through my entire life. I did something wrong. Anytime anyone was upset, even if it wasn't at me, or you can tell that they have a change of behavior, a change of mood. Like you
Hmm.
become then very hyper
Hmm.
vigilant of people's moods, emotions, and feelings. You become very hyper vigilant of how other people feel. And then you
Hmm.
instantaneously go into your head of what the fuck did I do wrong? And it could have
And
nothing to do with you. Nothing. They could be upset about like
ooh,
just they
yeah.
stubbed their toe in the bathroom 2 minutes ago. But in your head, you are literally going down the laundry list of all the things that you did wrong and how you can make up for it. And then you don't believe
Everything.
them when you go, hey, did I do something? No, it has nothing to do with you. You don't believe them.
Yeah.
And you get
Ooh.
anxious and you get like nothing can soothe that because
Mm-mm.
you have been trained that when somebody is upset, They're not
Mhm.
going to tell you. They're not going to be honest with you about what you did wrong. So you have to figure it out. And you're
Yeah.
constantly in that state of, what the fuck did I do wrong? And it's all my fault. This person is upset and it's my fault. This person's having a bad day and I must have done something. And then when you
Mhm.
did do something and somebody has addressed you with it, hey, you're doing this, or they get mad at you, then it goes fucking catastrophic. I should have
Yep.
been able to prevent this. I should have seen this. I should have known how to do
Yeah.
this. There's all the I should have, because the
Yeah.
expectation of, you know what you did, I'm not going to tell you, traumatizes you to the point that you have these coping mechanisms just to survive. That's when you
It's where the
also start
hyper Mhm.
apologizing for nothing, because
Yeah.
if I apologize beforehand, then I at least am at least one step ahead, right?
Yeah. It's where the hypervigilance comes in. If you never know what you did, you're constantly searching for what you did and trying to feel the room and feel what the other person is thinking and trying to guess, and it's and you're filtering through, everything's running through a filter of, did I do this wrong? Did I do that wrong? Is the thing I said wrong? Is the thing I'm going to say wrong? And it's never ending and it's exhausting. I have been on both sides of, if you don't know what you did. For me, it wasn't straight up. It wasn't directly saying, "Well, you know what you did." For me, on both sides of it, it was the silent treatment, or it was not saying anything. I'm fine. It's fine. I'm fine. It's not a big deal. And I have received that as well, and that is devastating. It's painful to it's not knowing, that constantly not knowing, especially for an overthinker. Maybe that's why I'm an overthinker. Um,
Overthinking is
overthinking
actually a trauma
is a
trauma
trauma
response. I sent you
response.
that and went,
You
fucking
did.
A. Like, that was one that was like, in the past couple of weeks, I saw that. I sent that to Sean and we both went,
Yes.
like, it didn't even dawn on us that was a trauma response.
Yeah. Mhm.
You mean people don't
Yeah,
overthink?
overthinking is a superpower.
No,
Is it though?
no,
It's like
no.
hypervigilance. Is it though? Hyper independence. Is it though? Yeah.
Is it my personality
So
or is it a trauma response? That's our
trauma. Woo! In the
favorite
latest installment of. All right.
game.
Oh.
Yes.
But I am also guilty of doing that. Because I'm really bad about minimizing. I feel a certain way, and but I don't feel like I should feel that way. I and so instead of communicating all of this, any of this, I I'm obviously upset about something, but I'm trying to work through it in my own head, and never communicating any of it. Not even, "Hey, I need a little bit. I just need a little bit of time. I'm gonna," like, I didn't even process that. I didn't even say that. Like, that's still stuff that I'm working on. Just saying that there's stuff going on in my head. It's still difficult for me to do because I'm so quick to minimize myself for
Mhm.
that. Um, so yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
If someone's upset you, say it. Don't expect them to read your mind.
You mean communication and conflict? Stop it.
Right.
What?
You mean conflict can be healthy? What?
Constructive conflict? My God. What the fuck
What?
are you talking about, Sean? That's no. We don't do that.
Mm-mm, mm-mm, no. I leave conflict in the rearview mirror.
Oh my God. I'm totally clipping that. That's going on a TikTok. um, it's forgiveness and it's this very thing that permeates, apologizing and forgiveness is this thing that permeates deep down into everyone, because everyone experiences conflict at some point with it, any unless you are living in a cave by yourself and you talk to no one, which, if that's what you do, good on you. Welcome to our show. Thank you for letting us be your window to the world. But
Yeah.
um you're going to come into conflict, and you're going to come into, somebody's going to do something that hurts your feelings. You're going to come into you're going to do something that hurts somebody's feelings or make anger
Mhm.
somebody or whatever, and it's learning how to do that in a healthy, constructive way.
Yes.
And that is something that I'm
Yes.
consistently, and because of the church, because of how we were raised to view forgiveness and apologizing, because of my upbringing, like I just said, you should
Mhm.
know, I'm having to unlearn all of the survival techniques just from that. I'm
Mhm.
having to unlearn. And like I said, I apologized to my motherfucking therapist, folks. The woman that I am paying to listen to me, the woman that I am paying to help me with my trauma, the woman that I am paying, I said, I am sorry that I'm sitting here complaining to you. And she looked at me like luckily she's a trauma specialist, so she knew where this was coming from.
Uh-huh.
She goes, "You have nothing to apologize for. This is your time. Like nothing to apologize for. There, you do not need to be sorry for existing. It is okay for you to take up space." And that is something that when you become when you start learning how to be self-aware of yourself, I didn't
Mhm.
realize how much I was apologetic and sorry for just existing. Literally, I am sorry that I take up space in your life. And I would apologize and how that's genuinely how I felt deep down. That is a belief system that I learned
Mhm.
that I regret and I am sorry for taking up space in this world. I am sorry for taking up space in your life. I am sorry for being smart. I am sorry for being good looking. I am sorry for existing. I am sorry that
For having emotions.
for having emotions. I am sorry for having opinions. I am sorry that I just exist. And I apologized for that all the time. And I still struggle with apologizing for things that I
Yeah.
don't need to apologize for.
There's a few times where you have been told by different people, "Arugs, you just don't apologize for. You're
Now my
good."
friends have gotten to the point that they know I'm working on it. They go, "No, we're not doing that."
Yeah.
I know
Yeah.
Jay and you both go, "No, we're not
Yeah.
doing that.
Mm-mm. No, no.
No, we're
We're
not
yeah,
doing that."
there's no apology here.
I do it to
Yes.
I have a couple friends that they do that and I go, "No, we're not doing that. There's nothing to be sorry for." Like because I
Mhm.
recognize it in
Yep.
myself, so I recognize it now in other people. Um,
Yeah.
but that is something I absolutely struggle with still. I don't need to ask for forgiveness from other people for just existing. But the Christian
Absolutely.
faith absolutely teaches you that. You are a bad
Yes.
person.
You were bad from the beginning. That's the thing. From the beginning, you were created evil. You were created bad. So even before you did anything, you needed to apologize. You needed to confess and ask for repentance, and you needed to be saved before you even did anything.
That's why the Catholics baptize their children
Mhm.
because the Catholics believe that you are
Mhm.
born absolutely sinning and you're not going to heaven
Yep.
unless you get baptized. Whereas
Yep.
in the Protestants, here's the weird thing. Here's the weird thing I
Yeah.
never understood. Again, one of those cognitive dissonance things that the Christian faith teaches you. You're like, what the fuck? I don't, how does
Yeah.
when does the switch turn? But the children are innocent. So children are
Mhm.
innocent and they're like, if they die young, that they're going to heaven because they're not adults enough to
Uh-huh.
know. But you're born a sinner
Yes. Yes.
and that's why they try
Eight.
to get you young because you have to choose to have a relationship with
Uh-huh.
God. When
Yes.
does the age of I stop
In the age of
being
innocence.
innocent
Yeah. Yeah.
of things that I
Well,
did wrong?
and what was told to me is well, it's different for every child. It's the point at which the individual, the child knows that what they're doing is wrong, and they do it anyway.
Again, what
What?
I'm a 4-year old. I don't know. Okay, I did something wrong and Jesus is going to be mad at me. I don't
This can go into the another topic, which is the I feel bad. I'm a terrible person because you learn from birth that you're a terrible person, you're bad, you're evil, you're sinner from the very beginning. So the belief that intrinsically you're a bad person, that starts right there in the church
And next week on
from
Waking
original
Up.
sin. Yeah. Uh-huh. So yeah, that's why apologizing or that's why asking for forgiveness and repenting is like one of the first things you learn. And what's really disturbing is as a 5-year-old, as a 6-year-old, 7-year-old, you're made to feel awful. Like you are the scum of the earth. Like what have you done at that age that you nothing. That's what's so disturbing about the Jesus camp is that you see that the 6, 7-year-olds just bawling because they feel like they're awful, awful people. Like they're 6. They haven't done anything. But that sticks with you. That feeling of I'm worthless sticks with you.
Mhm.
That need to constantly ask for forgiveness sticks with you. And the one thing you said earlier, it actually varies for me. You saw that, in Christian, you ask for forgiveness, you're forgiven, you move on. That's not entirely true for me. There's another component. You'll recognize this as soon as I say it. Suffering. The suffering component. So for me, yes, I asked for forgiveness. Yes, I was forgiven. But how do I know I was truly repentant? Because especially if it's something that I did. So we're just gonna need a moment. So there's something there's something that I'm gonna if it's something that I've done repeatedly, and I've had to ask for forgiveness repeatedly. Um, how do I know I'm really repentant? How do I know I really feel bad? How do I the only way that I know the way that I learned that I know that I'm truly repentant of it is if I suffer in it. If I make myself feel bad, not just in a moment, but like for a long period of time, I have to suffer to know that I did something wrong. And that also applies to my relationships. Arugs and I had this, we talked about this one at one point, like a couple months ago, I think. Because I didn't realize it. I was feeling really, really bad about something that I did 20 years ago, 25 years ago, which was really bad that I did. But I was re-traumatizing myself and making me feel I was re-traumatizing and suffering for the choice that I made 20 some years ago. Why? Because if I didn't feel bad now, well, that must mean that I wasn't that I didn't that what I did wasn't that bad. Like I have to feel bad now for what I did then. No, no, I don't. But that's what I felt like I had to do. I wasn't repentant if I didn't feel bad right then.
But
For
that also got reinforced in our relationships. And I don't mean like
yeah,
just romantically, but I mean very much so in romantically. And let's be honest, we at the same time we are very guilty of that as well. Like that person
hmm
isn't really sorry because they're not suffering. They're not really acting like they're not groveling, and
yes, uh huh,
you're not really sorry because you're not acting sorry.
yeah. What is that supposed to? Yeah,
What am I
I'm
supposed
supposed
to
to
act
grow.
like? Like, am I okay? I am sorry and I do feel bad and I am dealing with that shame and that regret in my own way. But what does me acting sorry look like to you? I just know that in a healthy
Yes,
relationship, okay, I know that I'm going to repeat that behavior. But again, that is where the trauma comes from because then you have
yes,
to act sorry. You have to
yes.
act a certain way, which means you have to constantly be apologizing for the thing that you have supposedly already been forgiven for. But if I was really forgiven, because that's where all of it comes from, if I was really forgiven, then why am I
hmm
still being made to feel bad for the thing that you forgave me for? And the
Yeah,
realization is that I was not ready for in my therapy. That was fine. If
yeah,
they
yeah.
are acting that way, that is not on you.
Yeah.
If that's their mindset, if that is how they are, and you have had the discussion with them, you have apologized, you
Mhm.
have done the thing, and you admit and taken accountability. If you've done the healthy thing, taken accountability, said, okay, I'm going to make note, I'm not going to do that again. Okay, I'm going to be just very, very aware of that,
Mhm.
from now on. Not hyper vigilant, but aware. There is a difference between hyper
Yes.
vigilant and aware. But I'm gonna be
Yes.
aware of that and just know that if this situation happens again, that I'm going to make a different choice. Okay, cool.
Mhm.
And you
Mhm.
yourself go, okay, we have come to a resolution. I have taken accountability. This person and I have talked it out. This person says that they have forgiven me. Now I'm going to move on. I am not going to suffer. I am not going to over
Yeah.
apologize. But if they still continue to get mad at you about the same topic, the same
Mhm.
situation, and they continue to bring it up even later in how many of us have had things thrown in our face that we have done 5 fucking years ago or 10 years ago. And you're like, "Are you fucking kidding me now?" Like, that was
Yeah.
10
Well,
fucking years ago, and you're expecting me to still feel bad about something that was 10. I don't even wear the same pants I wore 10 years ago. Like,
yeah.
that's
Yes.
not on me.
Yeah.
And that, as somebody who is a people pleaser and has had the trauma that I have and is suffering from the thing and is dealing and trying to heal the trauma wounds that I have, is
Mhm.
really, really hard. It's
It is.
really hard, especially when you grew up Christian and you grew up those things. I didn't realize pants weren't optional. Okay.
Pa
There's that. Actually, I
Uh-huh.
do have pants from 10 years ago, but we're not going to get into that. um, that is really difficult for me because if they say they forgive me, we've had the discussion and I have moved on, then all of a sudden, if you're bringing it up in an argument 6 months later, 6 years later, and
Mhm.
you're expecting me to then re apologize for something that I've already moved on past, that's not on
Yep.
me. That is on you, again, to work
Yep.
on
Yep.
you. That's you. You need to work on that forgiveness. You need to work on that trauma. Now,
Yeah.
there's obviously something that you're not addressing and the trauma that I may
Mhm.
have on an action that I may have done for you. But again, I already know that I did something wrong and apologized for it. And as long as I'm
Mhm.
not repeating the behavior, you bringing something up from the past is not on me.
Mhm.
That is on you. And that is incredibly difficult to sit with and go, I
Yes.
am not apologizing for that for the 10th time. I am not
Yes.
apologizing for
Yes.
that again. I am not going to sit there and I'm not going to let you bring that up because it makes you feel better to bring up things that I
Yeah.
did wrong
Yep.
because that means
Yep.
you haven't forgiven me. And that's not for me. It is not for
Mhm.
me to constantly ask for forgiveness from you. It is for you to sit down, do some self inquiry, do some self evaluation, where you are
Mhm.
emotionally, where you are mentally, why you are still holding on to that hurt and pain. And then we can have a discussion
Mhm.
about why you are still feeling hurt from that situation so that we can come to a resolution. And there might not be a resolution, and that's okay too. But let's not, I'm not going to be your whipping boy because
Yeah.
you feel bad about something.
That's what they're expecting. They're expecting you to have to grovel and repent all over again when you're like, "I've done this. We're done." Now this is very I think this is very time based because there's a difference between this happened yesterday and I'm bringing this up versus this happened 6 months ago and I'm bringing this up. Because sometimes people will go, "Well, I apologize for it." And it was yesterday. Like I'm still feeling this. I'm still dealing with this. That was yesterday. I can bring this up because I'm still dealing with it. But there's a point where like 6 months from now, if you're not dealing with it, you need to talk to someone about that. But it's very time based. I can't tell you how, it's all about who you are and what you moved on or have you not moved on? Because if it's still bringing it up 6 months from now, yeah, you obviously haven't moved on. But again, like you said, it's not the other person's responsibility. It's your responsibility. If you haven't moved on, uh, if I haven't moved on, I got to deal with that.
And there's nothing wrong with you not having dealt with that situation. Like you've talked about it and you're still feeling something about it, but that is
Yeah.
your job to go, I'm still feeling this way about it. Can we talk about it? And not
Yeah.
necessarily making them accountable and asking for them to re-apologize, but you sitting
Mhm.
down with the person that caused you that trauma and going, I'm still
Mhm.
feeling this way and I'm still feeling angry towards you. And I would really, now that we're removed from that situation, I'm still feeling angry about this. And maybe
Ooh,
what
yeah.
they did at that time gave you a trauma trigger and triggered that same
Mhm.
trauma. Yes. But that would also be you going, okay, maybe I'm overreacting to this situation because I didn't resolve for myself
Ooh.
the past situation. So can we sit down and talk
Yeah.
about this?
Yeah. That's
Because
good.
I'm still angry. I am still angry about this and I don't understand,
Mhm.
like I'm still angry and I'm angry at you and I don't understand why. And let's sit there and unpack this. And maybe you don't sit down with them right away. Maybe you unpack it.
Mhm.
But again, that's you having to be mindful of your emotions, mindful of your feelings and being very self-aware, which can be because I have BPD, so your emotions lie to you all the time. Your emotions lie to you
Uh-huh.
all the like
Aw.
your emo-
Yeah.
for those people who are overthinkers, like you think your intrusive thoughts are bad. You should see a BPD person's emotions. It's fucking great. It's great. Um, by great I mean not. Um, your emotions lie to you, and your
Mhm.
emotions make you feel maybe something more than they are. And so it's having to really work on that. And it's hard when your emotions are at a 10. And that is why sometimes it's really important before you apologize
Sure.
for something, before you have that discussion, before whatever, that you like if you're dysregulated to the point that you're not thinking rationally, it is okay to go, I am dysregulated and I am
Mhm.
not saying rational things. I am not saying things that are going to be constructive. I need to go be angry for a little bit.
Yeah.
I do want to have this
Mhm.
discussion. I do want to resolve this, but right now I need to be really pissed off at you.
Mhm.
And that's okay. That is okay to be pissed
Yep.
off at a person and say that you're pissed off at a person. But you also get to like not you don't want to hold on to it. You do want to get to that resolution, which is what
Mhm.
forgiveness is. Forgiveness is getting to a resolution, and apologizing and all of that is getting to that resolution.
Mhm.
And that resolution doesn't necessarily mean I forgive you and then nothing, act like nothing happens. That resolution gets to, I personally do not want to have to let this situation rule my life anymore. So I'm going to
Mhm.
forgive you. And I'm going to forgive you for what you've done. And I'm going to forgive you for the actions that you do. But that doesn't necessarily mean that, say, you cheated. I forgive you for cheating. But that doesn't mean that we have to stay together.
That's true. Yeah.
You abused me, you hit me, you hurt me, you said these things. And you know what? I forgive you because I need to forgive you because holding on to this pain and hurt does not serve me.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
that does not mean that we have to act like nothing happened. And that does not mean that I have to allow you to continue to re hurt me.
Mhm.
I can love
Yeah.
you and I can forgive you, and I don't have to have you in my life.
Yep. That's good.
And it's a constant battle for me. And I don't get it right. I don't get it right. I don't give the apologizing thing right. I don't get the forgiveness thing right. I don't get any of that right. Good. I'm getting better. I'm at least at a 50-50 now.
Yeah.
I'm at least at a
Yeah.
50-50 now. I mean, roll the die. It's a D20. It's like it's here. It's like what level are we at? I mean, it's literally how I feel sometimes about my mental health. Is you're rolling a D20 and we'll see what level that we're at today. Am I going to be really really healthy? Or gonna be I'm gonna hit like if I'm gonna hit a nat
Yeah.
20, like great. Or am I gonna hit a critical fail? And and the
Uh,
spectrum in between. And that's just the reality of it. And forgiveness is one of those things because you also have to learn how to forgive yourself.
I was wondering when you oh, I knew that was coming.
Mhm.
Yeah, there
Mhm.
it is.
Mhm. Mhm. That's right.
Mm.
Look at me. Look at
Yeah.
me. Look at me. You have to learn how to forgive yourself. Yeah, you wanna talk
I'm
about
sorry,
that?
what?
You wanna talk about that?
I'm sorry. You broke up. I'm sorry. I
You wanna
might
talk about forgiving yourself?
Mm, okay, sure. Well, folks, looks like we're about out of time.
Oh my fucking
Just
god.
kidding. Yes, forgiving myself. Oh god, that I think that's the hardest part. I can forgive other people. The hardest time I have forgiving is myself. But I do actually have a problem forgiving other people. Like I don't know how to forgive. I'm still learning how to forgive people in a healthy way. But forgiving myself, oh god, that's I'm the last person that I tend to forgive. Um, and I think a lot of it comes from the idea that that if I don't suffer, I'm not sorry. So I tell myself, I convince myself that I have to feel a certain way, as opposed to, hey, I am repentant about this thing, and I'm gonna do something different, and then letting myself move on. Um, that's really hard for me to forgive myself. That's where therapy comes in a lot, because I know when I first started talking to my therapist about things that happened in my past, choices that I made, in my teenage college years. My initial response was, "I can't believe I did that. That was stupid. That was terrible. That was a horrible choice." I was very critical of my younger self, and it's taken a bunch of sessions. It's taken that therapy to forgive myself that I did what I thought was best at the time. I did what I knew to do. I wasn't in therapy during that time. I didn't know any better. As you guys can hear from each week, we dealt with a lot of stuff growing up. We learned a lot of unhealthy behaviors growing
But
up.
according to our parents, we had a good childhood. That's my favorite. That's my favorite. We gave you
Yeah.
everything that you wanted and you
We
needed.
put food on the table, we put a roof over your head, yeah. Mm, that's the defining us latchkey kids. That was the big thing when we were growing up. That's what defined a good parent when we were growing up. The bare necessities.
And that's
Just the
something that
bare
I have to.
necessities.
Oh my
Sorry.
god. And that is something I had to come to terms with and forgive my parents for. Was
Mhm.
they did the best they could. As somebody who is a parent and in realizing
Mhm.
they did the best that they could.
Yeah.
And they did do what they now do I think my mom thinks that she gave me everything and I'm being ungrateful? Absolutely. And that's how she feels.
Mhm.
But I also have to understand and be gracious and forgiving in the fact that she did the best she could in her own with her own traumas because she was human.
Mhm.
And they just tried to raise us to be good people the best way that they knew how. Now, does it make what they did right? No. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying though they did the best that they could, and I can forgive them for that, but that does not mean that there was no damage done.
Those can both exist at the same time. Your parents did the best that they could, and they traumatized us.
Mhm. And that's in where the healing comes from is can our parents go, I did the best I could, but I understand that what I did, there were parts of what I did that was harmful. And just because I was doing the best I could does not mean that I didn't hurt you, and I'm sorry for that.
Mhm.
That's where the healing comes from. But it's mindset of I did the best I could, so you should be grateful for that. That is where the difference of the mindset is.
I brought you into this world, you should be grateful for it.
Oh, my favorite was always I brought you in this world and I can take you out.
Oh my god. Yeah, that anything that follows I brought you into this world. No. Mm-mm.
I brought you in this world and I can take you out, meaning I'm not important enough, and that if I keep
Yeah.
acting up, that there is no forgiveness. There's just
Yeah.
I need to change my behavior. There's no understanding. None of that.
Mhm.
But self forgiveness, Sean. We nice try,
Self
nice dodge, nice good, good. Okay, cool, cool,
self-forgiveness.
cool.
I was talking about self-forgiveness. Um, uh Um, yeah, that's one of the hardest parts. It's one of the hardest things that I think I have to deal with is letting myself off, or forgiving myself.
Getting yourself off.
Um, that's not what I meant. Not what I meant. That's not difficult at
Oh my
all.
God, how red are you turning right now?
Wait, hold on. I think I've got a button for that.
Oh, okay. Um, fine, I'll
No,
take over
I'm
for a
kidding. I'm
minute.
kidding. No, I'm kidding. Sorry. Yeah. Letting forgiving myself. That what I did was what I did was what I did. And I I can feel a part. I could what?
Calvin says, "You need help, pep, pep, lip, like Jesus lay hands on you."
Oh my god! Wow. Yeah. I mean, all right. Well, I'm sure
DM him
we can
later.
do some laying on.
DM him later, Calvin.
Yeah, we can. Yeah, we can lay on hands later. That's fine. We can. Oh my god!
Self-forgiveness.
Wow.
Forgiveness
Self
of self.
forgiveness.
Yeah. It's one of
It's
those,
for,
we were both in our families, like our family unit and in the church. It was one of those we always had to feel bad. If we didn't feel bad, like we couldn't
yeah.
forgive ourselves.
Oh my god, Jay.
Now
This has completely derailed.
no, you've allowed it to derail.
All right. I just had a good thought about. I just had a good thought and I just lost it. Um.
Self-forgiving.
Oh yeah, I remember what it is. One of the things that I didn't realize until recently was such a problem uh, for me, and it still does within. I think it still affects people in the church right now. Is it wasn't just things that I did that I needed to ask forgiveness for. It was things that I thought. And that's where the sinister part, that's where the dark, disturbing part of Christianity can come in. It's not just what you did, it's what you thought. You now have to ask forgiveness for what you thought. And I'm sorry, no. I've had to learn, no. My thoughts are my thoughts. My thoughts are not good nor evil. My thoughts are my thoughts. My actions can be, but I shouldn't have to ask for forgiveness for the thoughts that run through my head. But I did. I was taught to. You had to, because God knows everything you think. So if I had a lustful thought, if the flesh is weak, if I had, if I had, and I was a teenage boy. Almost every other thought was a lustful
I was
thought.
a teenage girl. Let's just say it's not about boys and girls. It's about
Yeah.
you were just a motherfucking teen.
When you're a teen, that's just what life is. But so it was like every other thought was like, oh, I shouldn't have that thought. I shouldn't. It was chastising myself for every other thought practically. And then when I had the same thought, well, it perpetuates. Well, if I was really repentant, I wouldn't have those thoughts again. I'm a teenager. I'm gonna have those thoughts again. The fact that I'm trying not to, that I'm flatulating is a whole different thing. Flagellating myself for it. That's where the shame creeps in. I begin feeling shameful for the thoughts that I'm having.
Mhm.
So, forgiving myself for being for being a person. I have to forgive myself for.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I say I have to forgive myself for who I was and the choices that I made and the people that I hurt. And I'm getting better at that. I think I think it's less of, oh, I don't forgiving myself for everything. It's like what the moments, the things that are coming up, because I think I've got a lot of repressed memories. But there are things that come up that I think about that come up in therapy, and I'm like, okay, I have to forgive myself. I'm going to forgive myself for these choices that I made, for these things that I did at that time.
Mhm.
It's hard.
Oh yeah.
And
It's
I don't have to suffer. I don't have to suffer. I don't have to re-traumatize myself now to forgive myself for what I did then.
mhm. And it's one of those that also brings up having to be apologetic because in the Christian faith, God knows your thoughts, God knows your action, God knows
Yes.
everything. You don't have a sense of privacy or self. So having like, and when you're taught that you don't have any privacy, that everybody knows what you're
Mhm.
thinking, everybody should know what you're thinking because when you do something wrong, you have to confess it to everyone.
Yeah.
You don't know the difference between privacy, what's privacy,
Mhm.
and what is it's one of those like you're apologizing for just wanting to have some privacy, to have your
Mhm.
own,
Yeah.
being apologetic because you want things that are of your own, that you're just like I'm sorry, like I or going against the grain, going and having your own
Yeah.
individual
Uh-huh.
thought. I'm sorry, I don't believe
Questioning
that.
something.
Questioning
Yeah.
something, like just being just apologizing for
Then you had to
something you shouldn't apologize for.
yeah, you had to ask for forgiveness for for questioning. You asked for forgiveness for questioning. Because questioning means you have doubts, and if you have doubts, oh, that means your faith isn't strong enough and you need to ask for more faith. Life was just a series of asking for forgiveness.
Or when you didn't understand. I'm sorry, I don't
Mhm.
understand. I'm sorry. I don't understand what you mean. Like, I'm sorry. Why are you sorry for not understanding? Just ask for some
Yeah,
clarification. I'll be happy to give it to you. There's no need to apologize for wanting to understand what we're talking about.
for being a burden. Because if I don't understand, I'm being a burden to you that you're gonna have to explain it to me again, and so I'm sorry for being a burden to you. Yeah, I'm I know, sorry, I've that one has come up in my therapy.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I was like, I wanna I yeah, that one has come up in my therapy. I don't want to be a burden to anyone, and it could be for a lot of different reasons. I don't want to. That's what the apology is from. Whew. Yeah, sorry, I think I triggered myself for a second. Um, yeah, so that comes up a lot. Why do why do we feel like we're a burden? Like where does that
I think that's
where
for
does
another
that?
podcast. And
You're right. You're right. You're
I
right.
honestly think that goes along with constantly feeling like you're a bad person, like being told that you are a bad
You're not
person,
worthy. You're
that
not
you're not
worthy of the
worthy.
attention. You're not
Yep.
worthy of the time and the
Yep.
effort. You're right. Yeah.
So we'll talk about that next
That's
week. That's next week.
that's next week. Yeah.
Yeah, we actually have a
Okay.
topic now for next week, so we could talk about that. So we have time to talk to our therapist about that.
Yeah. Exactly. That's put
We
that
could
on the.
we'll come back to that. We'll see what our therapist has to say.
We'll put a pin in it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Ah,
But to recap, you want to
so
recap it? Pep, pep, come on.
part of the human experience is hurting people and being hurt by people. It is inevitable. That's not fatalist. That's just the reality of our life and of human experience. You can focus on not hurting other people and not allowing yourself to be hurt, or you can focus on how do you respond when that does happen, and how do you respond in a healthy way. And hopefully, you've learned something from us tonight.
That was very educational, like very the ending, like the reading rainbow. Like I hope that you were able to be.
I I hope my comments have been helpful. Y-
And for those who are not very formal, I mean that was good. That was really good. Um, apologizing and asking for forgiveness, giving forgiveness, and how to accept apologies is something that is very difficult, especially when you are not how taught how to apologize in a healthy, mentally and emotionally healthy way. And especially if you are part of, some type of religious faith that is an all or nothing. It is
Hmm.
very, very difficult. It is very difficult to separate all of that. That forgiveness is, what forgiveness looks like for you, and to be 100% honest. I acknowledge, I can't say for Pepe, but I acknowledge that apologizing looks different to other people.
Hmm.
How people move through the apology and the forgiveness looks different to other people. And it is really, really important to, especially when you're in a new friendship or you're in a new maybe you're not in a new, maybe they're just changing and growing, is to make sure that you're constantly understanding, okay, when you say this, are you really sorry? Or making sure that you're constantly having that conversation of, hey, I forgive you, but I need a few days to feel really angry at you, but that doesn't mean I'm going anywhere. And
Hmm.
sometimes, especially I know with people like Pep and I who have this massive fear of abandonment, that they need that reassurance. I'm not going anywhere and I have forgiven you, but I'm still angry and I need to be angry. I'm not going anywhere. It's fine. And they'll need that constant reassurance. And and to not make them feel bad about that. And just because somebody, and for those of us who are traumatized, hello, friends. Hello,
Praise.
friends. Hello, for those of us that are
The
traumatized.
we
The we
is me.
is no, the we is we, because like we're all like
The we is we. Yeah,
so.
we
For
are.
those of us who have that abandonment trauma, for those of us who have that, and we're
Hmm.
actually dealing in a healthy situation, if they apologize and move on, that doesn't mean that they aren't sorry and that they're not. It just means that they have decided, okay, we've talked about it, and the healthy thing is to move forward. You don't
Yes.
need to ruminate on it. You don't need to like constantly. And if you've done something and have asked for forgiveness and you've had the discussion, if in a healthy relationship, it's okay to just let it go and move on. We do not need to ruminate on it. They do not need to ruminate on it. In healthy relationships, you discuss it, you feel your feelings, and then you move forward. It is when you are sitting in it and they expect you to ruminate, or vice versa. That is a big red flag. And I know that the ruminating feels fucking normal. I'm aware. I'm aware that the suffering or
Okay.
expecting them to suffer feels fucking normal, and that's how it should be, but it is not. I know it feels normal, and I know that the healthy way feels really weird and dismissive. It is not. It is actually healthy. So we're going to try and be mindful and aware of when we're in conflict and when it requires an apology and forgiveness. Where do you sit with that? It's just being mindful. And again, I literally, it's an everyday thing with me. Every fucking day. Every day. It is something that I struggle with. It is something that I fail and I succeed at depending on where I'm at mentally that day. Some days are better than others. Some days I'm still constantly apologizing for just breathing. And some days I'm like, fuck all of y'all, not unapologetic for anything. Like, what? I'm not going to be sorry for that. I don't give a shit. I hurt your feelings. Okay, what the fuck ever. Get over it. Like, yeah, I run the spectrum. It's fine. That doesn't make any of us broken, just because we are still working on how to healthily forgive and apologize.
It's good
And with that,
with that.
yeah.
Yay!
Yay! My mate's kicking it about halfway. We are good.
Woo!
Otherwise, it was going to be bad for you. Thank you, modern medicine.
Ooh.
So give yourself some grace. Oh, man.
Ooh, yeah.
We're not going in
Yeah. Jay, you.
there. Why? Right at the very end. Why? Um, no. So next week, how about we will talk about
A burden.
being a burden, sense of self. We will talk about sense
That's a
of
good.
self, and
It's a good
because
idea.
that's one also we are very much working on, and that is
Yes.
actually a lot of people that I am very much discovering. A lot of people struggle with feeling like a burden. and feeling like
Yep.
constantly feeling like a bad person. So, with that, thank you for joining us for Waking Up.
Thanks,
Thanks
everybody.
for joining us on
Mhm.
this Sunday, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.